In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, there's an unspoken rule among spacefaring civilizations. Stay away from the blue marble known as Earth, not because it's toxic or uninhabitable, but because its inhabitants are considered the galaxy's most unpredictable species. I learned this the hard way when our research vessel first detected their primitive radio signals 3 cycles ago. Another war? I asked my senior researcher Sarah, who was analyzing the intercepted broadcasts from Earth. Her 4 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of distress among our kind. The data streams showed humans fighting over territories smaller than some of our cargo ships. The sheer intensity of their conflicts was both fascinating and terrifying. "They're fighting with something new," Sarah replied, her tentacles nervously adjusting the holographic display. "They've developed weapons that can level entire cities in seconds. But that's not what scares me most." She paused, mandibles clicking. "It's their determination. Even when faced with total destruction, they refuse to surrender. Our species had long since evolved past physical warfare, choosing diplomacy and logical resolution. But humans, they wrote poetry about their battles, composed music celebrating their warriors, and passed down tales of combat through generations. Their entire history was written in blood and glory, yet somehow they'd also created beautiful art, touching music, and revolutionary technologies. The Galactic Council had officially classified Earth as a do-not-approach zone after the incident with the Zentari diplomatic mission. Those poor souls thought they could establish peaceful first contact. They'd chosen a remote military facility in a place called Nevada, believing the personnel there would be better prepared for extraterrestrial interaction. The humans' response? They launched fighter jets within minutes. I remember watching the recovered footage from the Zentari ship. The human pilots showed no fear as they engaged an obviously superior spacecraft. Their machines were primitive, running on combustible fuel and basic propulsion, yet they maneuvered with impossible precision. The Zentari barely escaped, and the footage became mandatory viewing at the Academy as a warning to ambitious young researchers like myself. "Look at this," Sarah interrupted my thoughts, bringing up new data. "They're developing AI, quantum computers, and fusion technology while still fighting with projectile weapons in some regions. They're advancing despite their conflicts, or perhaps because of them. It defies everything we know about civilizational development." What made humans truly dangerous wasn't their weapons or technology, it was their adaptability. Where other species specialized and evolved for specific environments, humans had learned to survive everywhere on their planet. Desert, tundra, mountains, forests. They conquered it all, and now they were looking to the stars. Our long-range sensors had detected their primitive space vessels venturing further from their planet. They were testing new propulsion systems, establishing bases on their moon, and planning missions to the red planet they called Mars. It was only a matter of time before they developed faster than light travel. "We need to prepare," I said, watching their news broadcasts showing military parades and space program launches. "The quarantine won't hold them forever. Sooner or later, they'll break through." Sarah's response was cut short by a blaring alarm. Our sensors had detected something impossible, a human-made object at the edge of their solar system, moving at speeds their technology shouldn't be capable of achieving. As we scrambled to verify the data, a transmission cut through our communication system, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect galactic standard. "To all non-human entities monitoring this channel, we know you're out there. We've known for quite some time. Perhaps it's time we had a proper conversation about why you're so interested in our little planet." The entire research station fell silent. After centuries of watching and hiding, humanity had just changed the rules of the game. And somehow, I knew this was only the beginning. The research station erupted into chaos. Senior officials rushed to emergency meetings while junior researchers frantically archived decades of observation data. I stood frozen at my station, Sarah's tentacles gripping my shoulder as we listened to the transmission repeat. The humans weren't just aware of us. They'd managed to breach the technological gap we thought would keep them isolated for at least another century. "They can't possibly have developed this technology on their own," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. But I wasn't so sure. We'd watched them split the atom, create artificial intelligence, and master genetic engineering in just a few generations. Their progress wasn't linear like other species. It came in explosive bursts, often driven by their conflicts. Project Starbridge is ready for Phase 2. The human transmission continued, causing another wave of panic through the station. We invite our celestial neighbors to participate in diplomatic discussions. Your observation posts around Saturn's rings haven't gone unnoticed. Neither have your probes disguised as asteroids in our belt. My heart's nearly stopped. Those were supposed to be our most carefully hidden monitoring stations. The humans hadn't just detected us. They'd been playing along, letting us think we were the ones in control. Looking back, there had been signs. The mysterious disappearance of monitoring drones, the occasional encrypted signal that our analysts dismissed as space debris, the sudden advancements in their quantum technology. The station's director, an ancient being named Kor, called an emergency assembly. As we gathered in the grand observation hall, the space that had witnessed countless hours of human surveillance, his weathered face showed genuine fear. "We've greatly underestimated them," he announced, his voices overlapping in distress. "Our latest analysis suggests they've been reverse engineering our technology from crashed scout ships we thought they'd never find." The revelation hit like a gravitational wave. Those accidents over the past century, the scattered pieces of advanced technology we'd written off as acceptable losses, had given humanity a blueprint to the stars. They hadn't just studied our technology, they'd improved upon it. While we watched them fight their wars, they'd been quietly preparing for something much bigger. A new transmission cut through our discussions. "To demonstrate our capabilities and good faith, we're sending a small delegation to your Saturn facility. Our ships will arrive in approximately 6 hours. We trust this gives you adequate time to prepare for our arrival." 6 hours. The humans had mastered faster than light travel and hadn't bothered to tell anyone. The same species that still fought with primitive explosives in some regions had secretly developed technology that some council races were still struggling to perfect. The duality was terrifying. "We should evacuate," someone suggested, but Kor raised all 4 hands for silence. "If we run, we confirm their suspicions about our intentions. If we've learned anything about humans, it's that they pursue what tries to escape. We face them directly." As the station prepared for humanity's arrival, I reviewed our most recent data on their military capabilities. Their wars had taught them to be tactical, resourceful, and most worryingly, unpredictable. They could be diplomatic one moment and aggressive the next, capable of both incredible kindness and unthinkable destruction. Sarah joined me at the observation window, where Earth was just barely visible as a tiny blue dot. "What do you think they want?" she asked, her scientist's curiosity overtaking her initial fear. Before I could answer, our sensors detected multiple objects emerging from hyperspace near Saturn's rings. The human ships had arrived 2 hours early. "Attention research station." A new voice broadcast. "We hope you don't mind us coming a bit ahead of schedule. After all, we learned from studying you that it's best to keep your opponents slightly off balance." The human ships were nothing like we'd expected. Instead of the bulky, primitive vessels we'd observed leaving their planet, these were sleek machines that seemed to bend space around them. Our sensors struggled to get clear readings. They appeared to be using some form of cloaking technology that we'd only theorized about in our most advanced research papers. 5 figures materialized in our main reception chamber, bypassing our security systems as if they were ancient code. They wore what appeared to be standard spacesuits, but something was off about them. The suits weren't pressurized. They were wearing them for our comfort, not their survival. Humans had already adapted to space travel in ways we hadn't imagined. "Hope you don't mind us letting ourselves in," said their leader, a tall figure who removed her helmet to reveal close-cropped gray hair and eyes that carried the weight of command. "I'm Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We've been looking forward to this meeting for quite some time." Kor stepped forward, his ceremonial robes rustling in the artificial gravity. "We mean your species no harm," he began, but Admiral Chen's laugh cut him off. It wasn't a cruel sound, but it carried an edge that made my spine ridges tingle. "No harm? You've been studying us like lab rats for generations," she said, pulling out a small device that projected images of our observation posts, hidden probes, and even classified reports about human warfare. You've documented our conflicts, analyzed our weaknesses, and labeled us as too dangerous to approach, all while hiding in our cosmic backyard. Sarah moved closer to me as one of the human officers handed Admiral Chen a data pad. Your latest reports are particularly interesting, Chen continued. You seem fascinated by our capacity for war, but you've missed something crucial about human nature. We don't fight because we want to. We fight because we have to, because sometimes survival demands it. The station's lights flickered, and our systems reported multiple human vessels appearing near every major research outpost in the solar system. They had us completely surrounded. Decades of studying human warfare suddenly felt insufficient. We were experiencing their tactical precision firsthand. Here's what's going to happen, Admiral Chen said, her voice carrying the same calm authority that we'd heard in countless intercepted military transmissions. You're going to share everything you know about the other species watching us. Yes, we know about them too. We've detected their observation posts, just like we detected yours. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled researchers. We weren't the only ones studying humanity, but we thought we were the most advanced, the most careful. The humans had known about all of us, playing a game of cosmic chess while we thought we were watching them play checkers. But more importantly, Chen continued, pulling up a holographic star map that showed several regions of space we'd never explored, you're going to tell us about the threat that's coming, the real reason you've all been so interested in our warfare capabilities. My hearts froze. They couldn't possibly know about that. We'd hidden those files in our most secure databases, encrypted with technologies we thought were centuries beyond human comprehension. But the look in Admiral Chen's eyes told me they knew everything about the ancient enemy that had driven us to study humanity's unique approach to combat, about the darkness spreading from the galaxy's edge, and about our desperate search for a species capable of fighting back. The Admiral's next words confirmed my worst fears. Your long-range sensors detected them 50 years ago. Ours picked them up last month, much closer than you realized. So, shall we discuss why you really quarantined Earth? Time isn't on our side anymore. Before Director Core could respond, our station's deep space sensors blazed to life. The readings were impossible. Massive objects emerging from hyperspace at the edge of our solar system. But these weren't human ships. The patterns were familiar in the worst possible way. They matched the ancient enemy's signatures we'd been dreading. Well, Admiral Chen said, checking her wrist display, they're about 6 months ahead of our predictions. Your containment protocols didn't just fail. They backfired spectacularly. She gestured, and one of her officers projected a tactical display showing hundreds of vessels dropping out of hyperspace. By trying to keep us isolated, you gave them exactly what they wanted. Time to mobilize while humanity remained unaware. The tension in the room shifted. The humans weren't here to threaten us. They were trying to save us. Director Core's multiple voices trembled as he spoke. How long have you known about the Harvesters? The ancient name felt wrong to speak aloud, like awakening a nightmare. Since we recovered your crashed scout ship in the Pacific Ocean 60 years ago, Chen replied. The one carrying your emergency protocols for a Harvester invasion. We didn't just reverse engineer your technology. We found your contingency plans, the ones that labeled Earth as a weapon of last resort. Sarah's tentacles coiled tightly around her data pad as she pulled up the classified files. It's impossible, she whispered. The recovery protocols. The ship should have self-destructed. A hint of a smile crossed Chen's face, the kind I'd seen countless times in human war documentaries, when a commander knew they held the upper hand. Your self-destruct technology relied on a quantum frequency we'd already discovered through our own research, she explained. We didn't disable it. We'd evolved past it, just like we evolved past the need for your containment. Everything you tried to hide from us just made us stronger. The tactical display shifted, showing more Harvester ships emerging. But something was different about their formation. They were scattered, disorganized. They're running, one of Chen's officers reported. Multiple signatures matched the energy patterns from our deep space defense grid. That's when I understood the full scope of human ingenuity. While we watched their surface wars, they'd been building an invisible shield around their solar system. While we studied their conflicts, they'd been preparing for a much bigger fight. They hadn't developed faster than light travel just for exploration. They'd created it as a weapon. Your research station has the most comprehensive database on harvester behavior in the galaxy, Chen said, turning to face Director Core. We need it, not to study them. We've done plenty of that. We need it because you've documented every mistake, every failed defense strategy other civilizations have tried, and we don't intend to repeat those mistakes. The station's long-range sensors detected new signals, more ships arriving, but these weren't harvesters or human vessels. The Admiral's expression hardened as she recognized the energy signatures. Right on time, she muttered. The other Watchers are finally showing themselves. Other Watchers? Sarah asked, but I already knew. The various species that had been observing humanity weren't just studying them. They were assessing them. And now that the harvesters had arrived early, everyone wanted humanity on their side. Admiral Chen's next words sent chills through my neural network. We're not interested in joining anyone's alliance. Earth doesn't need protectors. Earth needs warriors. And thanks to your containment, that's exactly what we've become. Now, who's going to tell me what's really hiding behind the harvesters? Because something tells me they're not the real enemy we should be worried about. Director Core's expression shifted, his multiple eyes focusing intensely on Admiral Chen. How could you possibly know about the shadow? He asked, his voices merging into a whisper of dread. The human admiral's stern face broke into a knowing smile. They'd been waiting for this confession. Because we found their artifacts on Mars before we found your crashed ship, Chen revealed. Ancient warnings, written in a language that predates your civilization and ours. The harvesters aren't invaders. They're running from something. Just like you've all been running, hiding behind your advanced technology and observation posts. Our station's screens suddenly filled with data we'd never seen before, detailed scans of massive structures buried beneath Mars' surface. The humans hadn't just been building cities and colonies on their red planet. They'd been excavating humanity's true history. The artifacts showed images of a war that made human conflicts look like children's games. A war that had raged before Earth had even cooled from its formation. The shadow drove the harvesters into our galaxy, Chen continued, pulling up more classified human files. They're not here to destroy us. They're here because Earth is the only planet that's successfully hidden from the shadow before. Your containment protocol didn't just isolate us. It unknowingly preserved the very defense mechanism that the ancients built into our solar system. Sarah's tentacles trembled as she analyzed the human data. The wars, she gasped. All those conflicts we've been studying. They weren't just about territory or resources, were they? Chen nodded, and I felt my heart sink as I finally understood. Every human war had strengthened the energy field around Earth, a field that we'd mistaken for simple electromagnetic radiation. They'd been unconsciously maintaining an ancient defense system through their very nature. Humanity isn't naturally violent, Chen explained, her voice carrying both pride and sadness. We're naturally protective. Every conflict, every battle, every war, they were all our species instinctively preparing for this moment. The shadow feeds on peace, on stagnation. Our constant state of readiness made Earth the one place in the galaxy they couldn't corrupt. The station shuddered as more ships arrived, not in attack formation, but in retreat. The harvesters were gathering around Earth's defense grid, seeking protection. But Chen's next revelation stunned even them. We're not going to hide, she announced. We've spent the last 60 years modifying your technology, combining it with the ancients' designs. Earth isn't just a shelter, it's a weapon. Suddenly, our sensors detected a massive energy surge from Earth. The planet's entire defense grid lit up, but instead of creating a barrier, it projected out into space. The human ships began to move in perfect formation, their modified drives creating a pattern I'd never seen before. They weren't running from the shadow. They were calling it out. Your containment didn't work because you didn't understand what you were containing, Chen said, watching as the grid's energy reached toward the galaxy's edge. You thought you were protecting the galaxy from us, but the ancients made humanity the guardians, not the threat. We're not the galaxy's weapon of last resort. We're its first line of defense. As if in response to her words, a darkness deeper than space itself began to materialize at the edge of our sensor's range. The shadow was coming, drawn by humanity's challenge. But looking at Admiral Chen's confident expression, at the unified fleet of human ships, at the ancient defense grid humming with power, I realized something that centuries of observation had failed to teach us. Humans weren't crazy masters of war. They were the universe's immune system, fighting off an infection that had been spreading for billions of years. And they just decided it was time for the cure. The Shadow's approach changed everything we thought we knew about space warfare. It didn't attack with ships or weapons. It simply consumed light, energy, and life itself. But humanity had been preparing for this moment longer than any species in the galaxy. As we watched from the research station, Earth's defense grid pulsed with an energy that seemed to echo every war cry, every battle song, every moment of defiance in human history. You see, Admiral Chen explained, her voice calm despite the impending confrontation. While you studied our wars, we were studying something far more important: peace. Real peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the strength to face darkness without flinching. That's what the ancients saw in us, what they helped encode into our very DNA. The human fleet moved with impossible precision, their ships forming patterns that seemed to mirror the ancient symbols we dismissed as primitive art on their cave walls. Each formation channeled energy from Earth's grid, creating a web of light that pushed back against the encroaching darkness. The harvesters, understanding their role at last, positioned their ships to amplify the effect. Sarah's instruments recorded everything, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. The shadows losing coherence, she reported, her tentacles dancing across the controls. The human defense patterns, they're not just fighting it, they're unmaking it. The darkness writhed, trying to find a way through the web of light, but humanity had spent millennia perfecting their defense through countless battles and wars. We never needed to be contained, Chen said, watching as the shadow began to fragment. We needed to be ready. Every conflict on Earth, every battle strategy, every defense technology, they were all preparation for this moment. Your observation helped us perfect our techniques, even if that wasn't your intention. The final confrontation happened almost anticlimactically. The shadow, faced with humanity's unified defense, tried to retreat. But the combined power of Earth's grid, the human fleet, and the harvester ships had created something new. A weapon that didn't destroy, but transformed. The darkness didn't vanish. It was converted into pure energy, feeding the very defense system that had defeated it. Director Kaur, speaking for our entire research station, made an unprecedented decision. We've been wrong about humanity, he announced on all channels. They're not a species to be feared or contained. They're the guardians we've been searching for since the first shadow sighting. As the last traces of darkness faded from our sensors, Admiral Chen turned to address all of us. Earth is opening its borders, she declared. No more hiding, no more observation posts, no more containment protocols. The galaxy needs to remember how to defend itself, and humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to teach others how to stand their ground. I looked out at the vast expanse of space, now alive with ships from dozens of species emerging from hiding. The human fleet hung in formation, not as conquerors, but as protectors. They had turned our greatest fears about their warlike nature into the galaxy's salvation. Sarah, ever the scientist, made one final note in her research log. Conclusion: humans are not masters of war. They are masters of survival, not just for themselves, but for all life. Their containment wasn't a punishment. It was preparation for this moment, when the galaxy needed not just warriors, but teachers. As our station began receiving requests from various species for human defense training, I couldn't help but smile. We had spent centuries studying humanity's wars, only to discover that their greatest victory would be teaching the galaxy how to maintain peace. The warning about not approaching Earth had transformed into an invitation to learn from them. Sometimes, the most valuable lessons come from the species you fear the most.